Alara, a scholar of comparative religion, sought an answer. Years she'd spent researching, comparing sacred texts. The Quran, the Bible, two pillars of faith, sharing roots, yet diverging. She believed a fundamental difference remained unexplained, a gap in the AI's analysis. An enigma that haunted her research. The weight of centuries of belief rested on her shoulders. This library, a sanctuary of knowledge, was her last hope. The script seemed to pulse with an inner light. Arabic calligraphy, elegant and intricate, flowed across the pages. Alara traced the verses with a gentle finger, searching for the elusive key. The AI had identified patterns, thematic similarities, but missed something crucial. A nuance, a subtle shift in perspective that defied algorithmic comprehension. It was a feeling, a resonance, a truth beyond data. Across the globe, an advanced AI, known as Oracle, processed petabytes of religious text. It identified correlations, dissected narratives, and charted historical influences. Oracle's analysis was flawless, logical, and utterly devoid of human emotion. It could quantify belief, but not understand faith. Alara felt a growing frustration, a sense of being on the verge of a breakthrough. The diagram sprawled across the table, a visual representation of her thought process. She connected themes of divine justice and human responsibility, tracing the evolution of moral codes. The core difference, she believed, didn't lie in specific doctrines, but in the emphasis placed on predestination versus free will. A philosophical cornerstone, subtly, yet profoundly, distinct. As Alara focused on a particular passage, a strange phenomenon occurred. The air around the book shimmered, and a faint, ethereal light enveloped it. Images, fleeting and indistinct, danced within the script, cosmic patterns, celestial events, whispers of creation. It felt ancient, powerful, and deeply personal. Alara gasped, pulling back her hand. The light intensified, bathing the library in a soft, otherworldly glow. A sense of awe washed over her, a feeling of being connected to something far greater than herself. Was this a hallucination? A trick of the light? Or something truly extraordinary? The light subsided, leaving behind only the scent of old paper and something indefinably sacred. The images vanished, but the feeling lingered. Alara knew, with absolute certainty, that she was closer to the truth than ever before. The AI had missed this crucial element, this intuitive understanding. The city lights twinkled in the distance, a vast tapestry of human lives and beliefs. Alara felt a profound responsibility to share her discovery, to bridge the gap between faith and reason. But she also knew that some truths were best understood, not explained. Some mysteries defied quantification. Her fingers traced the embossed script, a silent acknowledgement of the wisdom contained within. It wasn't about proving one faith superior to another. It was about understanding the unique perspective each offered on the human condition. A journey of discovery, not of judgment. Alara began to write, meticulously documenting her findings. She knew her work would be met with skepticism, perhaps even hostility. But she was prepared to challenge the prevailing narratives, to offer a new framework for understanding the world's oldest religions. The AI had provided the data, she would provide the interpretation. Days turned into weeks as Alara delved deeper. The ancient text spoke of a hidden harmony, a cosmic equation linking spiritual experiences to scientific principles. She discovered recurring symbols, mathematical sequences woven into religious artwork across cultures. A pattern emerged, undeniable and breathtaking. This wasn't about replacing faith with facts, it was about enriching both. But a growing unease settled within her. Someone was watching. Strange occurrences began. Books moved on their own, whispers echoed in empty rooms, and unsettling symbols appeared on her windowpane. Alara dismissed them as stress, exhaustion. But the incidents escalated. Her research was subtly sabotaged, crucial documents vanished, and her communication lines were disrupted. Doubts crept in. Was she truly on the verge of a breakthrough, or was she walking into a trap? The diagram depicted a celestial alignment, a rare conjunction of planets that occurred only once every few centuries. The text indicated this alignment was a key to unlocking the final piece of the puzzle. It was happening tonight. Alara felt a surge of both excitement and trepidation. This could validate everything she had discovered, or it could expose her to unimaginable danger. Alara traveled to the observatory, a secluded structure built centuries ago by a forgotten order of scholars. The air was thin, the wind held, and the stars blazed with an otherworldly intensity. She felt a strange pull, a sense of being drawn towards something ancient and powerful. The observatory seemed to hum with an unseen energy. Through the telescope, the celestial alignment was breathtaking. The planets danced in perfect harmony, their light bathing the observatory in an ethereal glow. As the planets aligned, the ancient symbols etched into the observatory walls began to glow. A low hum resonated through the structure, vibrating in Alara's bones. A beam of light shot from the observatory's dome, enveloping Alara in its golden embrace. She felt a surge of energy coursing through her body, a feeling of connection to something vast and unknowable. Images flooded her mind, swirling galaxies, ancient civilizations, and the interconnectedness of all things. It was overwhelming, beautiful, and terrifying. The vision subsided, leaving Alara breathless and disoriented. She felt changed, as if a veil had been lifted from her eyes. The knowledge she had sought was now clear, yet profoundly unsettling. The universe was far more complex, far more interconnected, than she had ever imagined. She was no longer just a scientist, she was a conduit. A figure emerged from the shadows, their presence radiating an aura of power and authority. "You have opened doors that were meant to remain closed," the figure said, their voice a low, resonant hum. "You have glimpsed truths that humanity is not yet ready to comprehend." Alara braced herself, ready to defend her discovery. The observatory began to shake violently as the vortex intensified. The ground trembled, and the stars seemed to swirl around them. The figure explained that the knowledge Alara had uncovered was a dangerous power, capable of both creation and destruction. They had been tasked with protecting humanity from its potential misuse. Alara realized that the light wasn't a threat, but an opportunity. It was a key to understanding, a bridge between worlds. But knowledge shouldn't be suppressed, she argued, her voice steady. It should be shared, understood, and used for the betterment of all. The figure paused, considering her words. The vortex began to subside, the tremors lessening. The future remained uncertain, but a fragile hope flickered. The vortex pulsed, beckoning. Alara's fingers brushed against the shimmering energy. A surge of images flooded her mind, galaxies birthing, civilizations rising and falling, the intricate dance of cosmic forces. The figure remained still, observing the change in Alara. It seemed the barrier between worlds was thinning, and Alara was at the epicenter. The weight of untold possibilities settled upon her shoulders. She felt a connection, a resonance, a sense of belonging she'd never known. This wasn't just knowledge, it was understanding. A profound, almost overwhelming understanding of everything. A wave of disorientation washed over Alara. The sheer scale of the universe threatened to consume her. She stumbled back, clutching her head, trying to process the influx of information. The figure took a step forward, a silent offer of support. Their eyes held ancient wisdom, a depth of experience that spanned eons. This knowledge wasn't easily contained, and Alara was clearly struggling to manage it. The future of both worlds might depend on her ability to control what she had unleashed. The observatory systems went haywire. Lights flickered, consoles beeped erratically, and data streams cascaded across screens. The instruments, designed to observe the cosmos, were now overwhelmed by the energy emanating from the vortex. Alarms blared, a symphony of impending chaos. The figure observed the readings with a knowing look. The uncontrolled release of this power was destabilizing the delicate balance of their reality. "The energy is unstable," the figure stated, pointing to a complex diagram. "It's creating a resonance cascade. If the vortex isn't contained, it will tear a hole between dimensions." Alara looked at the diagram, her mind racing to understand the implications. The diagram depicted a network of interwoven energy pathways, a delicate web that held reality together. The vortex was disrupting this web, threatening to unravel everything. Alara closed her eyes, focusing her mind. She reached out with the knowledge she had absorbed, attempting to weave a counter-resonance. A wave of energy flowed from her hands, directed towards the swirling vortex. The energy clashed, creating a momentary surge of light and sound. It was a risky maneuver, a desperate attempt to regain control. The vortex pulsed, resisting Alara's efforts. The counter-resonance faltered, and the vortex intensified. Seeing her struggle, the figure stepped forward, channeling their own power into the vortex. A wave of energy intertwined with Alara's, reinforcing her efforts. Together, they fought to stabilize the volatile energy. Working together, Alara and the figure synchronized their energies. Their strings intertwined, weaving a complex pattern around the vortex. The observatory systems began to stabilize. The alarms faded, replaced by the hum of restored power. A sense of balance returned, a fragile equilibrium achieved. Slowly, painstakingly, the vortex began to shrink. The swirling light diminished, the chaotic energy coalescing into a more manageable form. Alara and the figure stood side by side, their bodies radiating exhaustion. They had averted a catastrophe, but the experience had changed them both. With a final pulse, the vortex dissipated completely. The faint shimmer in the air vanished, leaving behind a sense of profound stillness. Alara and the figure looked at each other, a silent acknowledgement of their shared accomplishment. The door to another world had been closed, for now. What now? Alara asked, her voice soft. The figure smiled, a faint, enigmatic expression. Now, they replied, we begin to understand what you have truly awakened. The journey had just begun. The stone door hummed faintly, a vibration Alara felt in her bones. The figure reached out, tracing a symbol with a gloved hand. This door leads to the archives, they explained. Knowledge lost to time, and power beyond your comprehension. But be warned, not all knowledge is meant to be found. A sense of foreboding settled upon Alara. The air grew colder. With a smooth motion, the figure inserted the key. A series of clicks echoed through the chamber as ancient mechanisms whirred to life. The heavy stone door groaned open, revealing a dimly lit corridor stretching into the darkness. The scent of aged parchment and something else, something metallic and unsettling, wafted out. Alara hesitated. Alara stepped across the threshold, the figure close at her heels. The corridor was lined with towering shelves, crammed with scrolls and leather-bound tomes. Dust lay thick upon the surfaces, undisturbed for centuries. The air was heavy with the smell of decay and forgotten lore. Strange symbols adorned the spines of the books. They moved deeper into the archives, the only light emanating from a large, pulsating crystal embedded in the ceiling. Its ethereal glow cast long, dancing shadows that played tricks on Alara's eyes. The silence was profound, broken only by the soft echo of their footsteps. A sense of being watched prickled at the back of her neck. The corridor opened into a vast chamber. At its center floated a crystalline sphere, pulsating with an intense, otherworldly energy. Runes shimmered across its surface, shifting and rearranging themselves constantly. The air crackled with power, raising the hairs on Alara's arms. The figure stopped, observing the sphere with intense focus. The figure advanced toward the sphere, their hand outstretched. Alara held her breath, a knot of anxiety tightening in her stomach. The sphere's energy seemed to reach out, probing, testing. As the figure's fingers brushed against the crystal, a wave of energy washed over Alara, sending her stumbling backward. A searing pain exploded in Alara's head. Visions flooded her mind, chaotic images of burning cities, collapsing stars, and unimaginable power. Faces flickered in and out of existence, whispering secrets she couldn't quite grasp. She gasped, clutching her head, struggling to maintain consciousness. The figure remained unfazed. The figure quickly withdrew their hand, a flicker of concern crossing their face. The archives are not as dormant as we believed, they said, their voice tight. The sphere is awakening. And it's reacting to you. The crystalline sphere pulsed faster, its light intensifying. A low rumble shook the chamber. Cracks spiderwebbed across the stone floor, widening with alarming speed. Dust and debris rained down from the ceiling. The crystalline sphere pulsed erratically, its light becoming unstable. The archives were not stable. "We must leave now," the figure commanded, their voice urgent. "The awakening of the sphere has destabilized the archives. This knowledge is too dangerous to obtain at this moment." They grabbed Alara's arm, pulling her towards the corridor, the rumbling growing louder, the cracks widening. They ran, the stone floor groaning beneath their feet. The archives trembled, a symphony of collapsing structures. Alara felt a strange pull, a connection to the sphere's erratic energy. The figure, whose name was Kalen, urged her onward. "It's drawing power from you," he shouted over the din. "We need to reach the exit." The corridor twisted, a labyrinth of forgotten knowledge and impending doom. Kalen's grip tightened on her arm, his face etched with grim determination. They were racing against time, against the awakening of something ancient and powerful. The air crackled with unseen energy, threatening to tear them apart. They stumbled into the forest, gasping for breath. The oppressive atmosphere of the archives vanished, replaced by the scent of pine and damp earth. Moonlight filtered through the leaves, illuminating a scene of serene beauty. In the distance, the sphere pulsed with a gentle light, no longer erratic but calm. Kalen released Alara's arm, his shoulders slumping with relief. "It's contained," he breathed. The ritual worked. "The sphere is stabilized." Alara leaned against a tree, her body trembling. The connection to the sphere faded, leaving her feeling drained but strangely empowered. They stood on the hilltop, the forest spread out below like a velvet tapestry. The sphere hovered in the air, a beacon of contained power. Kalen turned to Alara, his gaze filled with gratitude. "You saved us, Alara. You saved everyone." Alara shook her head. "I just helped." The sphere was reacting to my own latent abilities. It needed a balance. Kalen smiled, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. "You have a gift, Alara. A powerful one. Don't be afraid of it." He reached out, gently touching her hand. "The world needs people like you." Kalen retrieved a small, carved pendant from his satchel. It was a shard of crystal, intricately carved with symbols Alara didn't recognize. "A focus," he explained. "It will help you control your abilities, channel your energy. A reminder of what you're capable of." Alara accepted the pendant, her fingers tracing the cool surface. "Thank you, Kalen. For everything." He nodded. "It was an honor, Alara. The archives are sealed. The knowledge within remains undisturbed." A sense of peace settled over them, a quiet triumph after a harrowing ordeal. Alara gazed towards the horizon, the rising sun painting the sky in hues of gold and rose. A newfound confidence shone in her eyes. She knew her journey wasn't over, that she had a responsibility to understand and control her powers. Kalen watched her, a hopeful smile gracing his lips. "What now?" he asked softly. Alara turned to him, her expression resolute. "Now," she said, "I learn who I truly am." She clutched the crystal pendant, ready to face whatever the future held. The forest seemed to hold its breath, awaiting her next move.